It's cold and miserable outside right now, and I should be thinking about making something really warm, but I woke up this morning and all I wanted to do was make a woodland forest cottagecore frolic in the meadow skirt. So we're gonna make a frolic in the meadow skirt. Okay, so before we keep going and do anything to this fabric, we need to figure out how wide the front is going to be and where the pockets are going to sit. Grab some pins and we're going to basically put your hands where you would want your pockets to sit and pin where that would be. So for me, the side seams on my pants right now, putting my hands in that is a little bit too far back for comfort. So I'm probably going to sit mine a couple inches forward from that. What we want to do is pin to get an approximation of that location, and then we'll measure between those 2 points. The top of where you can feel your hips is probably about where you want to measure between, and for me it's about 15 inches. So take that measurement and let's hold on to it.
I just realized I never explicitly said what the plan was. I have a big long piece of fabric and I don't really see the point in cutting it into strips and then sewing it back together just to have side seams. So I'm going to try and add pockets using darts instead of the traditional side seams. Alright, let's figure out your pocket dart. It's easier to do this on paper first so that you can see what it looks like visually and then transfer that to fabric. So, to start, draw your center line, long enough to accommodate the pocket insert. Put a mark a ½ inch down from the top of that line. Align your pocket pattern with that ½ inch mark, and put another mark at the bottom of your pocket opening. Add in a ½ inch allowance on either side of that central line. Then measure 2 inches on either side of the top of that line and put marks. Line up your ruler with the edge of the ½ inch seam allowance at the bottom of the pocket opening and the 2 inch marks on either side of the center line and draw that triangle out. You should start to see a dart shape forming.
This sounds very confusing, I know. I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you. So we've cut out our paper dart just for ease of folding and stuff. You fold along this center line. The folded bits that go together, that's where you've sewn. So this is your dart, this is the flap of fabric that's behind it. Now, if you look really closely, you can see this ½ inch line that I've drawn. This is the width of the pocket entrance where your hand needs to go through. This ½ inch is the seam allowance we are giving ourselves with the dart. This goes all the way down to the edge of this dart, but there's some that extends past it. So what's going to happen when you sew this, you're going to trim this seam allowance, this flap of fabric back here, trim that back to a ½ inch. When you go to sew the pocket in, this will have been trimmed down. Pocket comes in, right sides together. This looks really weird, but it'll make sense when you've cut it all, I promise. Right sides together, you sew here, ½ inch, and it's like, bam, there's not even a gap there at all. So I'm gonna work through it and I'll show you how I'm doing it. I'm not basing this on anything, I'm completely making this up as we go along, so we'll see if this works, but wish me luck.
Mariah, you set my heart on fire. It's you I most desire of all the gals around. Oh, Mariah, of your love I never tire, for there's not a higher flyer than Mariah in the town. Mariah, you set my heart on fire.
I wasn't really sure if the waistband was going to be long enough for what I had in mind, so I pieced together an extension for it.
Love I never tire, for there's not a higher flyer than Mariah in the town.
Okay, so we are making progress. I kind of want to demonstrate for you, I'm going to do something a little bit unorthodox now. So we have reached the point where it's time to finish the waistband. Problem I'm running into is that this fabric, whatever the heck it is, synthetic whatever, is so fiddly, it's so hard to fold under and properly whip stitch down on the inside to finish it. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit unorthodox. we're gonna use hem tape. And basically what this is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a roll of like fusible web with glue on either side, and you iron it down to one side, take the paper off, flip it, and then iron down your hem, and it's finished. This is 7/8 of an inch. It's too thick for what I want my waistband to be. So I have divided my waistband into 3, cut a 12-inch strip, and I'm going to attempt to cut this into 3s so that we're left with somewhere around 1/4 of an inch. So let's give it a go. I've never done this before, so we're gonna see how this works out.
I feel so lonely. I'd give the world if I could only make you understand. It surely would be grand. I'm going to telegraph you, baby, ask you, won't you please come home? 'Cause when you're gone, I worry all day long.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this has been the project from hell, but we are finally done with it and I can move on to new things now, thank God. This should have been a one-day project. It was supposed to be a one-day project. For some reason, I picked the worst fabric I could have possibly picked. I have no idea what this stuff is made of. I'm pretty sure it's like some kind of no iron synthetic monstrosity. Gemma! She's fine, yeah, I'm sorry, moving because my dog is a jerk. Anyway, we had issues. It was supposed to be a one-day project. It turned into like a month. And at this point, I'm just glad to be done with it. It's kind of the worst. But the technique was great. Honestly, the pleats, the way the fabric fell, the way the waistband turned out, it was all great. It's just, for some reason, this fabric ruined my life. I was pretty happy with how the pockets turned out, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it to be as easy as it was to do it with darts instead of an actual like seam line, but it wasn't bad. It turned out really well, actually. And if you go really slow and really take your time with sewing the end of the pleat and putting everything in and do a lot of hand sewing, you can't even tell there's anything there, especially if there's pleats around it to kind of disguise that seam line. Can't even tell there's pockets there, which is pretty fun. Secret pockets. This is a great beginner-friendly project, so if you're looking for something to do, this is your baby. This is it. Yeah, thanks so much for sticking with me through the chaos. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow along for future adventures. But yeah, I'll see you next time.
Tried in vain.